Hey, Mr. Hausler here. This is for Chapter 9, Quadratics and Inequalities. How to graph a nonlinear inequality is the focus on this one. Quadratic inequality, so we're going to graph a quadratic inequality, and then over here we're going to graph an absolute value inequality. So in order to graph this, y is less than or equal to x squared minus 7x minus 8. I'll need to be able to factor it so I can find out where its x-intercepts are. I know its y-intercept is at a negative 8, so I'm actually going to have this thing count by 2's. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Negative 10 to 10. And we'll figure out where the roots are, so I can figure out what I need to use, 1's here or 2's. So this should be pretty easy to factor here. Because it has a leading coefficient of 1, and the c value is a negative 8, I basically just need to find what two things multiplied together give me negative 8. But when I add them, I get a negative 7. So that's actually just going to be a negative 8 and a 1. If I multiply those together, I get negative 8. But when I add them, I get negative 7. So x minus 8, x plus 1. Just a different way of writing it. But this way I know where my zeros are. So since I'm going to negative 8, I am going to have this thing count by 2's as well. So I have a negative 8 as a root, so 4, 6, 8. I have a 1 as a root. I know it's opening upward because this is a positive a value. And I know that has a negative 8 as a y-intercept. Now, when I go and graph this, I can't do a solid line because of this. This symbol tells me that it's going to be a dotted line for the boundary. So I would go ahead and there's my dotted line, my boundary line for this. It's a rough sketch. It's not perfect. Now I need everything, all the solutions are anything less than this. So less than this would be anything below the boundary line. So any answer would be in this shaded region. So all that is an answer. All those are solutions. So this point right here, that's the solution to this problem. This point right here is a solution. This point's a solution. All those are solutions to this problem right here, where it would be less than x squared minus 7x minus 8. I'll move over to the inequality. So graphing this inequality, y is greater than or equal to the absolute value of 2x minus 1. I could make a t-table for this, or I could recognize that 2x minus 1, that's in linear form, y equals mx plus b. So numbers to the right of the x-axis will just be following the line 2x minus 1. In this case, I can actually count by 1's, I'll be fine. 5, negative 5, negative 5, negative 5. So 2x minus 1. So I'd probably want to plug in some positive numbers, plug in some negative numbers so I see what's happening here. Okay, so if I plug in a 3, that would be 6 minus 1, which is 5. The absolute value of 5 is 5. So I have 3, 5. 2, that would be 4 minus 1, which is 3. The absolute value of 3 is a 3. 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1. And then 0, put a 0 in there, you get subtract 1. That'd be a negative 1. The absolute value of a negative 1 is a positive 1. So I get 0, 1. Okay, then I have a negative 1. Negative 1 would be negative 2. Minus 1 more would be negative 3. Absolute value of negative 3 would be a positive 3. So negative 1, 3. You notice starting to be a mirror image there. So I don't even really have to plug in a negative 2. I'll kind of expect it to be right there at 5. And we can test it. But negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4, minus 5, which is a negative 5. The absolute value of a negative 5 is a 5, so it does end up being right here. So this graph actually is allowed to be solid in this case because it has that equal to symbol. The boundary is allowed to be solid. So I'm actually just going to kind of connect this. Well, the line of symmetry is right in between these 2 points here. Be a line of symmetry going right here. So that's my graph, so far at least my boundary line. And I need to make sure I have everything that is greater than this boundary line. So if I'm shading anything greater than, that would be all the solutions would be in here. So any point in here is a solution to that inequality.